gentleman with the glasses, can you move over this one? In the back row right there? Yeah. That's it. That's it. A little further in it. Right there. Okay. Right there. Good, 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 good. Lobby, Mr. Pomeroy, an inch to my right. Okay, now, fellow tapping on an inch to my left. There you go. Good. Yeah. Either way, we've got to go. Okay, if you don't mind. Okay.
Where the ceiling picture.
I'm not going to fall off, I promise. All right, that looks good. Nice smile right here. Okay, let me get a couple more. And one more, yeah. Maybe one after that, just to make sure. Okay, great. Nice smile right here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Recreation Advisory Committee, isn't that, you gonna keep rolling through? Or you gonna stop that? Oh, I don't have who was on there before. Which is Bobby O'Neill. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Robert. Yeah, he was,
Okay, let's move on to the next items. First, we have the presentations and reports and our VDOT monthly report. Mr. Charlie Stunkel. Good evening, Charlie. Good to see you.
Good evening. Just a couple of items to report on this month. Even though, of course, the bad weather has slowed him down, the contractor over at Carmel Church remains 20-some% ahead of schedule on the project. We have till the end of the month that we're accepting comments on the proposed restriction of through truck traffic on Dry Bridge Road. I think we've gotten half a dozen to this point. And I will say that last Monday that the staff of the Bowling Green Residency Office all received their layoff notices, as well as the fiscal assistants at the Ladysmith and Farmers area headquarters. And if those people choose not to be placed, or if they're not placed as part of a transition, April the 23rd will be their last day at work.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Eggers.
I cannot hear what Mr. Stunkel is saying. Is the mic working? Maybe if you push it up a little bit, Mr. Stunkel.
Okay.
Did
Is that better?
Did you say the Ladysmith?
The fiscal assistant, the timekeeper at,
okay.
at the Ladysmith headquarters. So, but basically, none of our area headquarters will be staffed during the daytime hours.
Okay. All right,
Office staff, I'm sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
That was my concern. Is the fact that-
okay. Are you still talking about the residency?
Yeah, and basically, that was all that I had to report on that.
All right, just while you're still on that topic, is there, or has there been any relative information to localities of the hierarchy that localities work through, what Carolina would work through?
No, you can expect to see that sometime between now and April 23rd.
Okay. All right. You can continue on the rest of your report.
That's all the items that I have to report on tonight.
Okay. All right. Well, certainly, it's hard to sit up here and say how we would really feel about, what you guys are having to go through, because I can tell you many, many times, and you could testify that we've been to Richmond and regional and state meetings, and we have always had high accolades for our residency and being able to get some work done and through you guys, and we certainly appreciate all the service that you've given us, prompt service that you've given us and your staff over the years. So we certainly really do appreciate that, and I'm sure the majority of the board feels that same way, and we appreciate the service that you guys have given us. Comments, questions of Mr. Stunkel?
Mr. Stunkel, I want to also mirror our thank you, my thank you, personal thank you for all the things you guys have done for my area. I know that you guys have always been prompt, have always tried to work with our citizens, and I really appreciate that. And I am sorry, for one, to see you go, and I wish there was something more that we could do to change that situation down there. I think it's a travesty with Caroline County coming up and coming county like this, that you guys are going to have to vacate that residency office. And I hope that those that are going on to other things find something quickly, and those that are being transferred are able to enjoy their employment. So once again, I want to thank you again, and sorry to see you guys go, truly.
Mr. Stunkel, you and I have not always agreed on certain issues when it comes to things that I would like to have seen done, and you didn't necessarily see that the need was there. But I can always say that it was professional. You've always presented yourself in a professional manner, and I certainly appreciate that, and I appreciate the relationship we've had over the years. I've certainly been here through several administrators as far as residency engineers or administrators, whatever they're called, and you've certainly been one of the top ones. And so I want to say best of luck to you, and I'm sure you'll, if you want to end up in Fredericksburg, I'm sure you'll be able to end up in Fredericksburg at that office up there if that's where you want to go.
Mr. Stunkel, I just have a couple of questions. How many actual employees will be displaced from the residency here in Bowling Green?
There were 11 folks at the residency office, 4 others at the area headquarters throughout our 3 counties.
So all of those are being displaced?
Correct. Yeah, 53 people total for the Fredericksburg district.
Do we have any idea how many will be absorbed in the surrounding VDOT locations?
We really don't know. Under the second phase of the blueprint layoffs, all but 12 people statewide who wished to be placed were placed. So we're hoping that the results will be pretty close to the same for the phase 3.
So that office will be empty then? Will anybody be at that office?
We don't really know what the usage for the office will be at this time.
But the equipment will stay there or no?
Of course, the shop the equipment repair shop is already closed and basically all the equipment taken out. The maintenance headquarters will remain in all of their operations there, the trucks and the motor graders and the loaders, and the farmer's headquarters will remain there. It will just be the residency office building that's being vacated.
Well, I'm sorry to see them leave, and I wish there were, again, wish there was something more we could do. But thanks again for all the service you've been to us, or to me, as I've been here for the last couple of years. Thank you.
Charlie, I guess I'm going to echo the same sentiments in that we have had a great working relationship with you and the board. You know, I had a couple of issues that I wanted to ask you about. It kind of seems like they're not worth talking about right now, considering the circumstances. So I'll just try to catch you at another point in time in the next day or so.
Okay.
If that's okay.
All right. Well, thank you all for your kind comments. I will remind you that you're not getting rid of me quite that easy. I do plan on being back here for the next 3 months. So.
Oh, well, if that's the case, before you go, I just want to share a little Christmas Eve story. I was in Food Line Christmas Eve, and for one of those, go to the store, get something for me, and come back quick, honey. And after listening to somebody complain about the snow removal contractors for an hour, I was late. But it appears that the snow removal contractors have specific roads that they can go on, and they can't deviate from that schedule. Is that right?
Basically, yes. When we assign contractors, or in fact, when we assign our own vehicles, you know, there are to a specific route or series of routes, and until they are reassigned.
Okay. So if you're not going to be right here where we can contact you, that's probably going to be a logistical nightmare in the future, won't it? You don't have to answer that. That was rhetorical. You don't have to answer that. Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Stunkel, and I do really mean it.
All right. Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Stunkel. We'll see you next month. Okay, if it's okay with the board, we're going to take up the discussion of Park and Recreation Summer Camp Program next. So, Mr. Howard?
I would say good evening to Mr. Chairman and Board of Supervisors. It is a good pleasure to be before you today. Just to let you know that, of course, I'm here for the summer camp program. This program, as you know, has been a great program for the county, and I've always have heard parents over the years to say that this is one of the greatest programs that the county offers. We all know that's brought great benefits to the parents, especially the working parents, and it made it possible for them to have activities for that child during the course of the day. So I do believe tonight that the changes that we're proposing, that the changes that we're proposing would stimulate even more excitement to the program and also enhance the quality of it. So I would like to tonight offer you a PowerPoint presentation.
Just one thing before you get started now. I think all the board, we received your presentation in our board packet. And all the board members have reviewed your presentation at this point. And that's why I just wanted, it may not be totally necessary for you to have to go through it all, because I think, you know, most board members are very happy with what they have seen of what you guys have put together at this point. And I would just like to check with the board and see if that's a true statement, that you guys are may have some questions, but have been through the presentation, and because I have heard your comments from board members that they really like what you have put together here and the way you guys have made this work. So I probably can save you some time in doing that. So if my thoughts are correct, do any board members have questions of Darnell and his report?
I'm good. I just want to get it out to everybody.
Mr. Popovich, do you have anything?
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you that I think I told you this earlier. This is fantastic. I'm really pleased with what you've done here. But could you kind of identify the expenditures? How we'll meet that? The revenues will meet those expenditures. Have we identified all the players in that? Could you kind of go through some of that with us?
You mean the expenditures for that particular program?
Yes, sir.
All right. What we're doing is the program is going to be a self-supporting program. We're anticipating, as you see on that, 300 children in that program, which will be at various sites around the county. At that, with the cost of the program being $250, I look at that being around about $75,000 or so. Therefore, after paying our staff and all that will cover. The primary cost of the program is providing the necessary staffing for it. All additional programs that are, or opportunity or activities that are offered, that will come as an additional cost to the parents. So there would be no other cost that the county would be incurring. The parents will be picking the costs up to the program.
Okay. And on the additional camps that you've provided here, are most of these local folks, or do we have to go outside of the area for some of these? Or
you mean for the additional programs that
the
we
additional
offer?
program, like the battle program?
They very well could be both, either or.
Okay.
We have not had all of those filled right now and at this time. Okay. But we will be seeking instructors, counselors, opportunities, places to take the children to. So.
Okay. Yeah, I saw where you've also added in field trips this time around. Okay, fantastic. That's all the questions I had now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Akers?
Yeah, Darnell, as we know, that it appears in the past, from history, that the western part of the county generates the most students that are involved, most young people that are involved in these programs. And that's the reason it concerns me a little bit, that we've only have the one site, which is the Caroline Diversified Learning Center, as a facility. Now, I think in the past you've probably capped that number like 125 or something thereabouts.
Around 150. Last year we went up as high as 150 to increase it a little bit more.
But I'm just wondering if we can not check with some of the churches. We may have to pay some rent. I'm not sure, but I think that it may behoove us and be to our advantage if we, the more young people we can get involved in this program, keep them off the streets and the various communities that are in the west side of the county, I think the better off we all are. And so if we can maybe check with, I know the Countyline Baptist Church, and I'm just throwing that name out there, but they have a new facility there that it's a recreational facility. It's a large building separated from the church, if you will. They very well may be willing to allow you to use that as one of the centers. We have to pay rent, but it may be that it would help us a great deal. It's close to Lake Landor, and even further west of that. Okay. So I would like for us to check those things out. Rice Chapel is another one that they have a large facility there that may be willing to allow us, and these churches are very involved in the community, so I think they would may be willing to help some.
Okay.
But again, I'd like to see more than the one facility on the west side of the county, because we are limiting the young people unless the parents want to drive them to Bowling Green or to Dawn, and that's a pretty good distance for the people to travel. So if we could do that, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Seeley?
The one thing I'd like to talk about that Donnell has not in this is that we now have an account that churches can contribute to help reduce the cost for some of the students that may not be able to afford it, since the county isn't able to do anything for it. And what I'd like to know, is there a way we can put a letter out to the various organizations that came to us last year and said, hey, if we knew this, we would start up a fund and we would contribute so that it would be used for those students to subsidize some. Though I had a number of phone calls with parents saying that $250 a child was was more than an ideal cost for them for 7 weeks. But I would like to take this opportunity early now to get to those organizations that offered to help and tell them of the opportunity that we now have the ability to take those funds and use it specifically for children who can't afford the day camp program that would like to attend. I think that would help the program all the way around. So if there's one thing that I'd like to see us do is to get that word out, that we now have the ability to do that and we can help. But I think this is a great presentation. It's early, and I think that was one of the problems we had last year is we waited too long to make the decision of what we were going to do. And I'm glad to see it at our first meeting in January, so we have the opportunity to let folks know that it is going to go forward. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Howard, I really just want to commend you on putting this together. First of all, I want to commend you on your efforts you made to put it together at the last minute last year. You did a great job there, and I think you did a great job this year. And again, as Mr. Seeley said, $250 for 7 weeks breaks down to like $7 and change a day. Anybody would want to have a quality program for $7 a day. So it's really a great bargain for the county, and I think you've done a great job putting it together. So thank you. That was it, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you. And again, I echo the same thoughts, especially for the team who put all this together. Thank y'all very much. I know it. You can tell by looking at your curriculum and things you did that y'all worked hard to make these things meet. One other thing, if I didn't see on there, unless I missed it, but probably have an opportunity to visit some of the farms. Farms are still our largest businesses in the county, and we should probably, if maybe there's a way you can include some of our farms or agribusinesses in the, and that might be an opportunity as well. But very good job, and your presentation was so good we didn't have to hear it because you did. Y'all really put together. It flowed really well, and we appreciate that. Okay, so certainly, with other committee members, would y'all stand so you can be recognized? Those who worked on the committee. All right, we thank you all.
Yeah, and not here. Well, I want to make known that Deanna Brown is the student representative on the Recreation Advisory Committee, so she's coming out tonight as well. And Carolyn Anderson is also on the committee, so they Carolyn was involved in putting the program together as well. And thanks to Mr. Ashcraft and his leadership as well. So, so we look forward to putting this program out. Hopefully we can execute it in the summer. So,
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You want to pull? Yeah.
Okay. At this point, we have Dr. Sams will be here. He's here from the Germanna Community College, and he will come and speak on the commitments for the new academic service building and budget. Is Dr. Sams still here? Okay, we'll pass it by, and we don't see Dr. Sams here. Okay, we will move to the item 6, the consent agenda items. Excuse me, let's go with 5.
Item 5 is appointments.
Appointments, Pamunkey Regional Jail, Board of Directors. We need to
Mr.
make
Chairman,
the appointment, and Sheriff Lippa, I think, has agreed to take that appointment.
we're asking for Mr. Ashcraft and Mr. Parton.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Parton and I are flipping jail responsibilities for this year. We've both been kind of designated to just one over the last several years, and I'm taking the Puman's End Creek responsibility, and Mr. Parton is going to go down to Pamunkey. Thus, we need to be appointed to those positions.
With either serving as alternate for the other.
That's correct.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to appoint Mr. Ashcraft as the Puman's End Regional Jail with Mr. Parton as his alternative, and ask that Mr. Parton be appointed to as our representative to Pamunkey with Mr. Ashcraft as his alternate.
Motion made and proper second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. All right, motion carries. Recreation Advisory Committee, Lorenzo Tillman has expressed a willingness to be reappointed.
I'm sorry, Mr. Poppins was distracting me over here on conversation. What was it?
Mr. Tillman from Regional Church
Have the Recreation Advisory Committee, Mr. Lorenzo Tillman from, for Director at Large member, Madison Representative, we need someone.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to appoint for the Madison, Mr. Mark Farrow.
Second.
I think we'll do them all.
I think we'll do them all at once,
That's the name you'd like.
if that works.
F-E-R-R-O.
Mark Farrow,
F-E-R-O.
okay. Mattapanai District, David Ware Jr. Is that the?
He's expressed a willingness to be reappointed, and I think as part of this, we're all going to go through a process of if you miss X number of meetings, it's up to the actual director to say you've missed meetings, and then we're going to move on to someone else.
Absolutely.
So that's fine. We'll move with Mr. Ware from Mattapanai.
Okay, and the school board representative, have we had someone from school board? Okay. All right, so we have these members, motion for the members that were recommended.
Mr. Chairman, my motion stands for the names that have been mentioned.
Second.
All right, motion made and proper second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, Board of Reassessors, we need for Madison, Mattapanai, and Bowling Green.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I have the distinct honor of having my nominee actually here this evening. Mr. Matthew West has agreed to be, again, reappointed to the Board of Assessors. Thank you, Matt. I would like to nominate Mr. Matt West to be my representative on that.
Okay, let's try to do them all in one if we can.
Mr. Chairman, I would, and I'm not going to attempt to mutilate Bob's last name, but his last name is Fiumara, lives in Lake Landor.
Okay, Bob.
And I need this card back, but you can get his information off of that card.
Okay, and Mattapanai District,
I'm going to ask that Mr. Robert O'Neill, who served before, be the representative again.
okay, so we have the three recommendations. Motion will be in order for those three.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made and proper second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay, Board of Zoning Appeals for Madison District.
Mr. Chairman, I've not had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Satterwhite, but Leo certainly has served for many years and has done a good job. I would like to go ahead and to recommend that his name be forwarded to the Circuit Court Judge for a reappointment, and I will have a chance to speak with Leo in the next couple of days, and if he chooses not to continue to serve, I'll notify staff and we'll start the process over again. But I would like to make a motion that we submit Mr. Leo Satterwhite's name to the Circuit Court Judge for appointment.
Second.
Motion made and proper second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, let's look at consent agenda items. Is there a motion on the consent agenda items, or?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to have
Sure.
item C out for discussion. I'd like to have item J postponed until at least the second meeting in January. I'd like to meet with the folks in Sparta.
Okay, we'll take J for the second meeting in which month? Did you say?
The second
Second meeting in January, okay, that's fine. Your discussion on the item E?
C.
Excuse me, C? Okay. Is that going to just a point, or?
Clarification.
Just clarification, I'd like
Clarification,
to
okay.
talk about C, because I'd not seen it before and didn't realize that it was something we were going to do, I guess.
All right, we'll pull that and discuss it.
Okay.
All right. So motion made by Mr. Seeley to pull C and
J.
J until the, C for today and J for the next meeting.
Motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of C and J.
Okay?
Second.
Motion made, proper second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, all opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, let's go ahead and deal with item C now. Is it fine with the board?
That's,
Okay, Mr. Seeley, your question on C.
I guess I'd just like a little clarification and how this came about and what it is we're actually going to do, since I didn't see it any place discussed previously, and I was kind of surprised it was in our agenda package.
Okay, Mr. Borchik, will you make your way to the podium for us?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. This is basically a follow-up and finalization on the Days Inn well that it had been placed online back last May when we took on the emergency service to Lake Caroline. At that time, it was put in service under a temporary operating permit by VDH. And now that the summer is done and we actually have it offline and are resting it, we feel it's time to go ahead and do the work that's needed to finalize that construction permit from VDH to get a permanent operating permit for the well and have it officially permanently online. The amount that's in the item is, it's shown as a not-to-exceed number, and it truly is a not-to-exceed number. It is our intent to, as we did with putting the well online initially, to pretty much do as much of the work in-house as we can, and to kind of act as our own general contractor as far as the selection and ordering and purchasing of the equipment. But simply, this item is to have the consultant available so that we can call him in as needed to assist us and to finalize some of the drawings, and particularly the engineering report that will be required by VDH. So the number that we see in here indeed is a not-to-exceed number, and we don't really plan to come anywhere near that. But as we pick and choose from their scope, this is the total for what their proposal was.
I guess my other question is, where is this coming out of? Because I don't see it in capital improvements, budget-wise.
This actually comes, the engineering portion will come out of the what the engineering budget already has in it. And when we come up with an estimate on what the actual construction cost is going to be, at that time we'll also be bringing forward where we'll be intending to take the money from the utilities budget for that.
Can we, when we bring this forward, can we bring those budgets with this also so we can track the dollars that are in those line items so that we know what's coming out? Because I know that we have some other expenses over that we're going to have to account for, and we're going to have to look at how we're going to do that. So
Yes.
I guess that's my biggest concern, is that this is, I understood not to exceed. I was surprised the number was so big, 95,000. I thought it would be something less than that.
It will be.
And I guess that's why I want to track it to what we think we have in engineering services, so that we're all on the same page and we don't get to like March or April and go, well, we're a little over. So I would just like to see that budget come along with this when it comes.
Yes, and we can continually update you on that also. And in fact, with Mr. Popowitz being the liaison, we can direct, our updates through him to the board.
Okay, I'd just like for us to see this as an overall line item and watch that line decrement.
Yes, certainly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we approve C.
Second.
A motion made, proper second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Okay, looks like we're at a point we'll take a break. We'll take a 15-minute break and we'll reconvene. Reconvene and welcome everyone back to the meeting. And first item of business would be the public comment section. And I would ask Mrs. Hall if she would read the rules of the public comment section, please.
The public comment period shall be for the purpose of allowing the public to speak to the board on any matter which is not scheduled for public hearing at this meeting. To help conduct the meeting in an orderly and efficient manner, please refrain from clapping or other public demonstrations of support or opposition. The public comment period shall not serve as a forum for debate with the board or a question and answer period with the board. Remarks shall be addressed only to the board and not to staff, the audience, or the media. All public comments shall be made in a respectful manner. Cursing and antagonistic behavior are prohibited and shall be grounds for removal from the meeting. Comments should focus on matters or issues before the board or county and not individual board members or staff. Comments which single out an individual board member or staff may be ruled out of order by the chair. Each speaker shall clearly state his or her name, address, and voting district, if applicable. There shall be a time limit for each speaker of 3 minutes. No speaker shall address the board more than once during the public comment period at any single board meeting. The county administrator will time the speakers and notify them when their time has expired. Copies of the detailed rules are located on the back table.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Hall. And at this time, we'll go to public comment section. And I know there's some folks here that want to talk about the explosive ordinance and disposal training on item 7. However, there are no other public hearings tonight, so if at this time, if there's any citizens who would like to address the board on any matter, may do so at this time. And I would remind everybody that when we do get to item 7, we have the town of Port Royal who's going to speak at that, and then at the approval of the board, if need so, we do understand we have Colonel Hafner here, and he would be available for comment at the approval of the board. Okay. And there's a Port Tobago Bay resident, and has also asked to speak from the beginning. So, okay, so that's where we are. And at this time, if there are any citizens during the public comment section who would like to address the board on any matter, please come forth, state your name and your voting district.
Mr. Chairman, congratulations on your position, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
First of all, I would like to express our gratitude to the Board of Supervisors and Mr. Ashcraft and his staff for the excellent program, the first annual Citizen Police Academy. It was a tremendous success, and we're very proud of that, and we plan to continue that program, if possible, throughout the next few years. So, thank you all again. It was without your support, it wouldn't have been possible, and we just wanted to thank y'all.
All right.
All right, this on behalf of Sheriff Lippa. He asked me to come up here and say that, so you know where it came from. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Scott. Appreciate the service y'all provide. Any other citizens who would like to address the board on any matter at this time? Are there any citizens who would like to address the board on any matter at this time? Are there any citizens who would like to address the board on any matter or matters at this time? Seeing none, we'll declare the public comment section closed. Okay, we'll move into new business, and under new business, we do have a report on the explosive ordnance disposal training site for AP Hill, and certainly I did expect Mrs. Long to speak. I understand there's someone from the Property Owner Association of the Port Tobago Bay subdivision, and also the Colonel is here, and I think it's only fitting, I think, that you know, for anything that, when someone comes to a board, that the board needs to know all sides. And I think that is appropriate, and I think the board would agree to that, that's the right thing to do. Okay, Mayor Long, good to see you this evening.
Good to see you all tonight. Nancy Long, Mayor, Town Port Royal. I've come here tonight for the town and for the neighbors surrounding the town in opposition of the location of the EOD training school to AP Hill. You all have the information that was sent to you, sort of boring reading, but basically we have basic concerns. I need Alex here, you know, with that big booming voice of his, and we wouldn't need the mic. Okay, we have basic concerns about this. The first site for the EOD school, as you saw on the map, was just 1.5 miles away from Portabago. So to try to help things around and to open up that corner for some other activities, a relocation was done of additional sites, which brought them up toward Port Royal. Now, I want you to know, a year ago, I did approach Portabago Bay and say, hey, neighbor, do you need some backup here? You want us to stand up with you? And they wanted to try to keep it quiet and go through channels and work on their own. However, when it came up to toward Port Royal, I didn't have a choice. The town needed to act. So we've sort of worked together from there on out. But with the demolition training field being that close to the town, our main concern is right now we get an occasional shake, maybe 4 times a year, or where there's a misjudgment or maybe some firing that's done on a day it shouldn't be done. And we tighten up our belt, we try to be good citizens and not complain. But the concern here is the closeness, the frequency of explosions. I mean, we're talking 800 nighttime explosions. Granted, small, but sound carries a lot at night. We're talking from maybe 4 shakes a year to, I don't know, 40, 50. I have no idea how my old house is going to do that. I don't know how the rest of the old homes in Port Royal will do that. Not to mention, we are a very diverse community. We've got the 3 trailer parks. We've got subdivisions outside the town. And then we have our old portion of town, which is on the National Register. It is worth protecting. So for all those reasons, we definitely do not think that AP Hill, especially on the eastern boundary of AP Hill, closest to the residents, is the proper place for this. I've read some reports. You know, we're in a circle that says 115 to 130 decibels. I looked at one sheet that someone showed me that said 115 decibels was like sitting in front of 6 refrigerator-sized speakers at a rock concert. Well, the Army might not be putting on a performance. We're not going to get, you know, a 5-minute song, but we'll get multiple blasts. That, to me, is not the right to enjoy our property in a peaceful way. And also in the past, AP Hill has always been a considerate neighbor. They've tried to keep their Sunday maneuvers to a minimum, and they've tried to end nighttime maneuvers at a reasonable hour so citizens can sleep. With the addition of the school, it will require Sunday maneuvers and nighttime maneuvers. We have concerns about the future. Right now, we've got a limited to poundage on the demolition of explosives. We have no idea what the future will bring. Things change every day. New weapons, new chemical compounds, new demands in the world. Do we really want to confine our troops to an area where they constantly have to be considering their next door neighbor? And that's what we'll be. The citizens will be their next door neighbor. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that I have trouble now attracting or trying to get people to invest in these old homes. They are a financial, lifelong job. To rehab these homes, make them productive, resellable is hard enough to do. How in the world are we going to get anyone to preserve these wonderful old homes? if they can't sit out in their yard and enjoy it in peace and quiet, if they can't